All right, everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm just gonna assume we're live. If we're not, nobody will know. But if we're live, welcome.
We're
We're
live.
live. Yeah. So, I guess first and foremost, well, let's give a few minutes for people to kind of pile in here.
Right, build some tension because you've got quite the story for everybody today.
Oh boy, yeah, this was kind of insane. I'm still not 100% sure. Well, it's real, but I feel like it took me a while to figure out, like, is this happening for real or
I,
not?
I thought
So
the
yeah,
same thing. I was like, no, it must be one of the parody accounts or something. But
that's exactly what I thought at first. And then I was like, no, okay, that's not a parody account. Is he messing around? Is what is this? Actually, we got confirmation this morning, so everything is 100%. People are saying it's live. Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Um, how's the sound? Sound check, testing, testing. I think we said we're gonna start. Oh,
sounding
we have
good.
2 minutes in. Okay, yeah, and then you sound great. At least on my side. All right, let's dive in. So first and foremost, we've had the Alpha Arena backed by the N of one team, I guess you could say, company, and they've been running a few benchmarks. They had season one, season two. Yes, Elon is cooking. Um, and so what happened was it was very interesting because these models, large language models from OpenAI, Google, they had Gwen and DeepSeek and Claude, etc. Grok was in there. They were doing pretty well trading crypto. And then later, season 1.5 started, and they were trading stocks. So NVIDIA, Google, Palantir, kind of those stocks, tech stocks, basically. And they did have a mystery model, which we weren't sure exactly what it was. I had a few guesses, but apparently they turned out to be incorrect. Um, but what happened was I posted kind of like my what I thought the model was. So I looked at a paper that the company published where they created their own model for trading stocks in the stock market, which is it's very interesting how they did it. So that's like a whole separate discussion. That's very interesting. And I kind of thought, I connected the dots. This is the model that's the mystery model that's doing so well in the markets. But I was very wrong because as I'm going to sleep last night, I see Elon responds to that message going, actually, it's Grok 420 or 4.20, an experimental version of it. So it's not released, it's an experimental version of it. And the thing about that model is it made a lot of money. Um, it had a pretty good ROI in a very short period of time. And there were four sort of constraints under which it ran, and it made money in every single one of those, which is weird.
Wow.
There's a lot of, yeah. So, I guess let me pause there. Like, what's your whole take on this?
Well, yeah, I feel like there's so many different ways we can talk about this, but the thought is there is models out there that are just not public, and they're doing all sorts of interesting things in all sorts of interesting fields. I always constantly wonder which ones are out there trading, because it's just one of those dead obvious, billions, maybe even trillions of dollars are like built around these investment firms that are actually trying to beat the market, and they always have frontier technology doing things. And to see that this one was actually one of Elon's models means that it was trained in one of those servers that he has, which are top notch. And we have, he's got a data team behind him that's very interesting, and Twitter has a lot of stock integration, which is really interesting. So just seeing it all come together and actually out there in the real world just kind of shocked me this morning.
Yeah, and there's so many different things that I guess we could talk about. I mean, first and foremost, um, a lot of people are wondering, so I guess we don't know how well this model is going to perform in the long run. But let's imagine for a second that it continues sort of beating the market in a very spectacular way. Like, what if? What implications does that have sort of for the world? That's going to be interesting to note. Number two, like one of the big reasons I like this benchmark is it's very hard to game, right? Because first of all, nobody's going to lose. You can't,
Right.
if you
Good
yeah,
point.
to do well, you have to do well in the stock market. Like it's a very hard thing to beat. Um, it's very competitive. It's a zero sum. You can't really game it. It's happening in real time. We don't know the answers until the future happens, and we know what stock goes up, goes down. The stock market didn't do that well in during the period that they were testing these models. Nvidia was even down a little bit, and yet this thing was just I think over 12% return, plus 12% in that 2 week period. I don't know. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just throw in a few thoughts. Now, I have followed a few places before where people try to track the stock market using ChatGPT, and normally what it does better than other models is sort of sentiment analysis. It's the better tool right now for seeing what's trending, what people are talking about, what's kind of a hot topic, which does, push the market up and down. Like fundamentals are part of it, but certainly hype is part of it. And you hope that fundamentals drive it in the long run, and hype and news cycles kind of run it in the short run. So LLMs have, traditionally been pretty good at that, but also there's a speed element. They can read quarterly reports instantly from every company at the same time and sort of make connections about who's working with who and like how things are growing, and then kind of give us human feedback to then sort of look through. So um I have no idea like where it's going to go, but I don't even know if the stock market survives forever, or maybe it does, but it's this world where not everybody has access to a frontier model and they're sucking up most of the resources. I don't know. Where do you think it goes?
I have a very hard time envisioning it. Some people, sometimes in the comments, they'll say, well, yeah, it means the market's going to be more efficient. So it's going to be harder to sort like everything's going to be priced more accurately. There's going to be less, whatever, alpha to be had or whatever. I mean, that's assuming that everybody or enough people have access to these models and they're all at the same level. But it doesn't seem to be, it seems to be like there's always going to be a better model. Or if there's going to be a model like this, there's going to be a time during which only a few people have access to it. Um, and,
Y- Yeah.
you know,
I mean, like so to be clear, like me and you can't go use that model right now, right? But, somebody inside of Elon's orbit can. And do you think they are? Or do you think they're just playing as a test?
I mean, if this is not a fluke, they're obviously testing it. They would have to be testing it in other places. It's not like they randomly decided to set it live in this benchmark. They
Yeah.
would have to have tested it somehow beforehand. Um,
Yeah,
and
and
I'll
think
show
about that
you.
data. So that data source is so interesting. Like Twitter actually is
Mhm.
the fastest, or X is the fastest place to see what's happening. And actually, I have a story. Like I had a friend that was working at Twitter at the time when it was purchased, and
Oh,
there is actually for years an initiative to make it so that when you typed in a stock, the number would the stock ticker would like come up in the feed, right? And when
oh, that's
Elon took
cool.
over, he saw that was sitting in the feed, and nobody had like actually finished it. There was just too much red tape, and that was something that got solved pretty quick when he was there. And we've heard him talk multiple times about how one of the ways to profitability for X is to kind of turn it into something like a PayPal, which he's done in the past, and think of it more as a financial kind of money exchange network. Certainly, crypto seems to be part of the future in the way that he's kind of envisioned it. So, yeah, predicting how the market is going to go might be one of those big inside initiatives at X.ai that they might be uniquely positioned through data and computation and architecture to actually do.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like there's a lot there. So in this, as far as I can tell, with this approach, how they were doing it with the Alpha Bench or Alpha, what's it called? Alpha Arena.
Yeah.
Um, they were feeding all the news and stuff to the models in a prompt. So all of them had the same exact information. Um, but definitely it seems like the model, like, why would it be so good at it? It seems like they figured out how to train it on some specific data, probably exactly what you're saying, all the stuff that they have available from X and all the data that they have from, the data in the stock market. I mean, there's something interesting happening there, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
imagine like one of those data sources from like Robinhood or investment trading firm that whoever's first to get that data maybe could just get that much better of a signal. I don't know if you've ever heard a book called The Flash Boys. It was I remember reading
mhm,
it quite a while ago, but it was just about how intense the fight was to get real estate that was just inches away from the New York Stock Exchange, so that you could make models act faster. And of course, this was pre AI. There was a few evolutionary algorithms. There was a few just hand coded algorithms, and then there was just a lot of sort of knowledge and kind of skill that went along with the people who got a feel for how the market works and where the exploits are. But a general
yeah.
intelligence, never seen anything like it really.
Exactly. It wasn't it like milliseconds they were trying to shave off in terms of how fast the
Yeah.
wires were. It's
I
insane.
think for one company, it was like worth the multi-billion-dollar investment to run a cable under the ocean from like London to New
Mhm.
York so they could just talk to each other faster and like skim off some amount of money. And I mean, there's a whole nother kind of question there. Is it like really, is the invisible hand of the free market even, is that really what's happening at this point? But, maybe kind of not.
Yeah. I want this news to sort of break so people that are experts in the field maybe can talk a little bit about it. I guess let me show some of the stuff um, that I've been seeing by sharing my screen. If everybody just let's see, haven't used Riverside in a minute. How do you share screens? Oh boy, probably
Oh, that's
should
fine.
have thought about this beforehand.
While you're
Um,
doing while you're doing it, I can tell a quick story if you want.
yes, please entertain the
Okay, and then
people. Well,
you go bring up those things. So I have a friend that did some kind of interesting investing through ChatGPT a little while ago too, and he was kind of curious to ask it about stocks and sort of who the owners were and the ethics, in the chain of how things were built. And I've never quite seen anybody be able to invest their money ethically like that before. So one of the cool things that I've been thinking about recently is that with a ChatGPT or a Gemini, you could actually say like I care about countries that are like poor and what stocks are actually like helping build out their infrastructure. You can say like what kind of companies can I invest in where the leaders donate like the largest percentage of their profits, or have philanthropic foundations that actually do things, and you can kind of check into it. So one of the craziest things is that if you do a deep research query and you actually have a reason that you want to vote with your money on how the world can be different, we have a tool, and it's ChatGPT, and not anybody really thinks about it as much as just like how to make money. But if we all put our money like ethically where we think the world could go, it could make a big difference. And we have that tool now.
yeah, and or even at the very least, even if you just wanted to make sure it's not going somewhere you don't want it to, right? So like even if you're like, I want returns, but I really don't want to support anything that has to do with these particular industries. So whether
Yeah.
you're like trying to specifically, do sort of like positive change, or you just there's some things that you really don't want to support, you can kind of like it's whatever you want. You can kind of target your research in that direction.
Yeah, this person was actually an anti like Elon person. He didn't want to support Elon Musk anymore, but of course he wanted all sorts of things and technologies, but he wasn't sure which ones were connected to his world or to Sam Altman's world or to Google's world. And if you don't believe in one of those people, which he didn't, he said, how do I invest money? And I don't invest specifically in this person, but still in the technology sector. And it found a whole list of like 20 stocks that are like very far away from Elon's orbit.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it just shows, yeah, if it is, hopefully it's more in the positive direction, but yeah, it can be about avoiding and avoiding with your capital certain people and certain ethics.
Yeah, somebody's mentioning the EU was gonna fine Elon 120 million. Um, if what we're looking at right now is for real, then that might not be an issue for him. But well, I guess it's not an issue either way. But
Yeah.
okay, so this is what we're talking about. So this is Alpha Arena. This is at n of one.ai. N of one is the company. They got some pretty interesting people behind it. Some like serious people. One is an ex Citadel person with a machine learning PhD candidate, I guess. So the Citadel, do you know a lot about Citadel? So it's a massive hedge fund. I think in that it was in that movie. Do you know what I'm talking about? Deep
Big
Value.
Short. Oh,
The more recent.
Citadel was in The Big Short? I don't know. Yeah, but I do
No, it
know
was
it
the more
as a
recent
big.
one.
No, I
Somebody
don't
help us
remember the
out.
movie.
The
But I do.
Citadel,
Citadel is
and
gigantic. Here, I'll check
yeah, so it's
Wikipedia.
about deep effing value. You know, the Reddit traders. The I guarantee you, Chad is gonna know what we're talking about. What movie was that? I you get you somebody will they know exactly what I'm talking about. I am 100% sure of it. But mystery model. So it was broken up. So this competition was broken up into four different sort of. I want to use the word tranches here, just like they did in The Big Short, but that's probably not the right word. So you have the new baseline where it's trading equities, news, and sentiment data is getting fed to it. I believe every 6 minutes, and we'll kind of verify that in a second. But so this is kind of the regular, but dumb money. Thank you, Haxar. Yeah.
Knew it. You
Everybody else,
knew
thank
it.
you so much. Yeah. So yeah, Dumb Money and the it was that was the movie. Pretty good. Pretty. I enjoyed it. And it was just about the Reddit, the GME trade, all that stuff. So and I guess the Citadel was the company that was one of the main sort of companies that they were looking at as these people shorting these stocks. I'm not going to go into the story, but so notice this mystery model here is up to $11,812. Everything else is negative ROI, right? So everything else lost money. It's up under sort of normal conditions. Monk mode is emphasis on capital preservation, survival, stronger risk management policies. Um, Let me see if I can. Yeah, so it's still. Oh, it just slightly dipped below 10,000, but I mean, it was the competition was supposed to be for 2 weeks. So during that time, it was positive in every single category. Oh, and it looks like it's up, right? Yeah. So it kind of varies, but I mean, it didn't lose money on any of these. In the aggregate, it did not lose money, nor did it lose money on any one of these sort of approaches. The third one was situational awareness. So this is where the models are aware of their competition, their current rank, and the profit and loss statements of the other models, etc. This is insane to me because it's up to well past $15,000. So,
Yeah.
so somebody's saying not a normal market. So that's an interesting point because, so I'm not sure if you're referring to kind of like the market during the 2 weeks that this was taking place, but for example, NVIDIA was down a little bit, some portion of 1%. Like the Nasdaq was only up, I want to say 3%, right?
Hmm.
So it's not like the stock market surged up and this model just rode the wave up. That's not what happened here. Here's the max leverage. So this is the only one where it's not the number one model. GPT 5.1 is, but notice it's still positive, right? Um, and if you think about it, so it's a plus 55% return, right? So you give it $10,000 and it comes back to you with 15,000 plus in 2 weeks.
Amazing. Right. And
I
imagine
mean,
it's $1 million and you're like, okay, and I'll just get an extra house out of that in a couple of weeks and I'll just reinvest it and take dividends.
this is absolutely nuts.
Absolutely, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine if this man, if they have a reliable way to just beat the stock market. I mean, just I don't know. I've always wondered if there was ever going to be anybody that sort of did that with AI, but maybe there will be. And maybe when that technology gets out, there'll be some competitors, but there might be a brief window here where there's just a ton of money that it can handle.
I kept waiting for this. I kept looking for papers that would show something like this. Again, it's why it's so bizarre. Just everything about how this happened is just weird to me. Just I think it's called Elon's razor or Musk razor is like the most entertaining outcome is the most likely. This was to be the
Uh,
most entertaining outcome possible. So of course, this is exactly what happens. So for people that maybe don't know the story, I go on this sort of uh, deep research because we didn't know what the mystery model was. And yes, for people asking, well, hang on, people are asking, is the mystery model Grok 4.2? No spoilers, okay? Hang on. This gets good because, like, I have this whole, that it's always sunny in Philadelphia when he's like pointing at the map and he's so like crazy, he's like connecting all the dots. That was me, like trying to figure out what this model was because the people behind N of one, they published a paper that was very interesting. They took the same sort of approach that the Darwin Gödel machine did, the same approach that kind of like the AlphaVol from Google DeepMind did. NVIDIA's Eureka or their Voyager models. So it kind of had some of those ideas behind it, and with those ideas and a large language model, they built a a model they called Prophet or profit. So it's if people can see that, profit, whatever. Program search for financial trading. So they use this evolutionary search for automated discovery of this trading algorithm. Now, to me, I obviously put into together. I'm like, obviously, this is the model because they just published this a couple days ago, and there's a mystery model. I'm like, of course, this is it. So I posted all my results, and I was feeling pretty clever. I thought I nailed it, and then Elon comes in and goes, "The mystery AI model is an experimental version of Grok 4.20 or 420."
I guess there's nothing
Um,
like watching somebody else connect the dots differently than you know they are, and then needing to be like, fine, I'll just go chime in here. I got to correct the record on Wes here.
but you know what? I mean, it's just I look. I was joking that there's this law online. It's like the fastest way to get an answer on the internet isn't to ask a questions to you know make the wrong answer and somebody's going to show up and correct you, and that's exactly what I did here. You're watching it play out live. I said I stated something incorrectly and Elon comes out, he's like, nope, actually it's Grok 4.2. um so I mean, what do you think about this whole thing in terms of, I mean, do you have any thoughts? I mean, you've had a few thoughts, but I mean, like anything that's like weird or jumps out at you about this? I mean, my first thought was, is this true? By the way, the person behind, so just to confirm for people, the people behind this did confirm that this is true.
Right. Yes, you did some investigative journalism, you know. You went and said, "Hey, like is this really the model?" You can see Elon said that it was, they said it was. So, yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that it's true. So, I live in a world where facts are facts. So, if this model outperforms today, is it evidence that it will always outperform or that this is going to continue for months? Not exactly, but it's a sign that maybe. And it's a possibility that when you put this much data into a neural network, it can learn something, whether it's the speed that it can think or whether it's the way that it thinks in a that is different than any human and any model has before. There is like unlimited money to be pulled out of the stock market if you know how to move things up and down. I've done some videos on dynamic pricing before about how you can have different AI models that are trying to optimize the price of an airline ticket, for example, and they'll slowly start to sync together, right, without sharing any information, technically not doing anything illegal. But if they're always moving prices up and down, like take Delta and Southwest or something, and they've got to both have different AI models, different architectures, they're both trying to optimize money. They can learn to not go too low and to like basically say, hey, when I go lower, then you go lower, and then the free market brings it too much down, and we can stay up here together and make money without ever talking to each other. So there's interesting knock-on effects that might happen if we live in a world where there's hyper intelligent AI that's so good that it can kind of figure out the market, but also its place in there with other people and other agents. And it's not just humans kind of doing a selfish thing, but it's more of a coordinated effort that's being coordinated just through the information from the trades. Like there's, I mean, it's a Pandora's box of what the future looks like, it seems like.
So I've heard also a similar thing to what you're describing with actually stock trading bots. Um, Something over time, like with reinforcement learning, over time, they also learn to somehow coordinate their moves somehow. Again, without communicating, but just somehow they figured out, like, okay, if like, I can see somebody on the other side of these trades doing this. So it's, what is it, like the prisoner's dilemma or something like that. It's fascinating how reinforcement learning will push them to discover these things that, I don't know. You'd think you'd have to have some sort of a communication to be able to, what is that, collusion, to
Yeah,
collude.
collusion. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's some examples like, if you're walking your dog every day and you realize, you kind of keep bumping into someone at the same time, and the dogs sort of want to wake up at the same time to see the other dogs. Like these things do happen, but it was pretty fascinating how people have sort of a limitation. And for the most part, the stock market is too complicated. And the rules that we build to make money selfishly tend to not figure this out. And it does kind of seem like we're entering a world where there's an intelligence, behind these systems that kind of is learning the coordination problem, the collusion kind of
Mhm.
solution to making money.
So, somebody's asking, Dynamic Watcher, what did it buy? Did it succeed only because it bought Tesla before an upswing? Can we see what the
Mm,
actual
it's a good
actions
point.
are? Yes, and so much more. I think you're going to be kind of blown away because, first and foremost, this is running live, and this is season 1.5. We already had season 1, and we're going to have season 2. So not only is everything logged and you're able to access it in real time, in the previous season, actually. So this is Tyler. Wait, you're not seeing this. Hang on. This is Tyler Storm. So he's at XAI. Speedrunning XAI, as he puts it here. So he had a company, I guess it got sold to Ripple, XRP, for people that follow that stuff. And now he's at XAI. So he mentioned here that on the model page, you can find a link to all the trades that were made. So for people that are, I guess it's, I assume
Yeah.
this is for, crypto only. But basically, if you want to see the crypto trades, they're actually on the blockchain, verifiable transactions. Oh no! Oh shoot! Okay, no. This is. I'm sorry. I I did not pay attention. No, these are the actual trades that are recorded live on the blockchain. So for people asking, um, so this person of XAI who worked with in the crypto space. So he had some sort of a startup with AI that got sold to Ripple, if I understand correctly. I'm not
Mhm.
too familiar with his background, but everything is logged, right? So you can see these happening live and getting logged on the blockchain. So this can't be falsifiable. It can't be backdated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems like it's more just a question like, did he I doubt it, but yeah, there could have been the thought that like, oh, he just bought a bunch of his stock before an announcement or something. You kind of see that like with different companies, a little bit of insider trading, but no, it seems like this probably isn't that case. I think you
Oh
just
no,
wanted to
the
see.
the the biggest jump, for example, was NVIDIA. And I'll show you kind of, because they analyzed in real time. So this is Jay Ajang. Um, oh, so yeah, I kind of made a joke that, oh yeah, is he just trading Tesla? Is it trading Tesla based on If somebody posts something negative about it, they just buy into Tesla or whatever. Uh, I think some of the biggest gains came from NVIDIA. So, for example, this was one of the trades that they've talked about, holding NVIDIA with 10x leverage, right? And they walked through their reasoning.
Mm.
Um,
And as far
it
as you
takes
know, the model is they're all of these models are getting the same information to make a decision off of, right? Or do they also have different ways they're connected to the internet?
so as far as we know, every single one of these is getting the same information because we're able to see the prompt. So, for example, for any of these, I'm able to look at this and say, okay, I can see the user prompt. The user prompt is this massive thing. By the way, this is what I've seen with other companies, other research projects like out of NVIDIA. This is exactly how they do it. Each turn, which if I understand correctly, happens every 6 minutes, it gets fed everything. So it gets fed, NASDAQ, where's everything, all the technical signals. It gets fed its holdings. So, right. So it kind of gets an update about its own holdings. It also gets fed all of the narratives and all of the news, right? So NVIDIA, narrative, New Malaysia, data center, whatever, right?
Wow.
And if I understand correctly, this is the same user prompt for every single one of these. So it's not like one of them has
Yeah.
access to better data than another one.
Yeah. So it's not just about front running. It's not about a different data source. It's just about making a more intelligent decision with the same data that was provided. That's crazy.
So, no, not just crypto. Not just crypto. And in some of these cases, I think they were going like the max leverage one. I mean, it's max leverage. They're not even like, yeah, they're going like a full auto. Um, by the way, so the reason why I want people to poke holes in it is because, as far as I can tell, there's no holes to poke. Like, this is as sort of like, I haven't seen anybody say how this could be faked or gamed in any way. So if anybody has any idea, let us know. But as you can see, everything gets
Hmm.
recorded on hyper liquid, right? So you can see these things. We see the user prompts. We see their reasoning. So, for example, here's the chain of thought. So here's how this model reasons, right? It has its justifications, it has its stop loss, it has kind of the invalidation conditions. So it's saying, okay, if it really swings this way, then I was wrong. My thesis was wrong, whatever, right?
Wow. That is so interesting. I can't believe it. Yeah, and a human can just sit here and watch this and say, "Okay, I agree with that thesis. I don't. We'll just see if this one works if it thinks so." And it made intelligent stop losses too. I mean, how many months would this have to continually beat the market before you just said the stock market's broken? Like just year after year after year, would you be like, okay, they're just better than the rest of the players, but the stock market still works? And then you see a couple more come in from DeepMind and OpenAI, and then it's just like, wow, a whole new market, an
So
agent-based market.
I agreed. So the remarkable N, thank you for joining us. They're legally changing their name to Max Leverage, which, now that I think about it, you and me both, that sounds pretty good. Woody Sloth saying it can't be fake, but a couple of weeks is just too little data to be statistically
Yeah,
relevant. Agreed.
right.
Here's here's my kind of counterpoint to this. So I don't have a statistics background, but I mean, I did take a few classes so a long time ago. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the fact that it won across four different ones is a little bit more than just a few weeks worth of data. Do you know what I mean? Like,
You're saying
if
different condition. It's being intelligent in different ways under similar conditions, but in different ways with different
yeah, because
goals.
I mean, you can run the statistical significant tests in different ways, from what I understand. Usually, they do it sort of one. Um, Grok 4.2. Well, it is here in a sense that we're watching. Well, okay. Yes, this is an experimental version of Grok. So in that sense, no, it's not released yet, but we're seeing it sort of interacting with the real world in what I think most people consider a maybe a little bit of a scary matter. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just I
I
had to
wonder if he's
quickly.
gonna keep it open. I mean, supposedly open source is like Elon's jam, but this one seems like one of those models where it
Yeah,
just
but my
is like, are you gonna open source this one?
this oh man, see, this is like a was it a bucket of worms or whatever.
Okay,
That's
a
how
can of
we
worms, a
first
bucket of
talked. The
worms.
can of that's
That's
the
fine. It's fine. You know what? At this point, you might as well upgrade the can to a bucket. I feel like that makes more sense. There's enough
I
worms.
think that that was our first online interaction is anyways, we're not gonna anyways, I wonder if anybody knows that story. Whatever. If somebody knows it, they'll say it. But the fact that it's did it across 4 runs, I think shows that it might be a little bit more. We don't know if it's statistically significant.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to find out if it runs for however long, right? If it runs for 3 months and it just keeps making money, if it keeps beating the market. I mean, I don't know. I get, well, let me ask you, the people in chat, what would you have to see to say, okay, this is real? Like, how many months of it beating the market, or by
Yeah.
what sort of percentage, you know?
And so I have to go in a few minutes here, but let me throw out one more story too before I go.
Mhm.
There's a video that I'm going to cover, an article in my next video where there's this story I don't know if anybody caught this, but there's a type of Pokemon card out there where there's I think about 2,000 of them. They weren't particularly special a couple months ago, but there's only 2,000 of them, and there's one person out there that decided that they were secretly gonna try to buy them all, and they got all of them except five. So they got whatever 1,900, and uh, they decided to show on Instagram and on social media that they had all of these cards and that there was only five left. And now they're in a position where they kind of can swing the market on these cards. And because it's become sort of a social media thing, there's more value in each card if they do sell some from their stock. And there's
Mhm.
even a concept where the creator might take all of the cards except a few of them and burn them. So everyone on the internet can see that the cards are now gone and there's only the five that are out in the market and the maybe five left that he saves from the burn, and they become worth so much money, and it's such an outside the box way to make money. I think it just made me wonder how many other ways to make money besides that are outside the box that a human would almost never think of, or a type of value that isn't even coming from a stock market or a crypto. It's coming from the marketplace dynamics of objects that matter to people in a community. And it seems to me like as AI gets smarter at just making money, not just beating the stock market, we're going to see so many more strange examples like that.
Yeah, exactly. Because yeah, these RL approaches, they often result in weird examples or shortcuts or stuff that we didn't expect, and yet it's somehow like, oh yeah, here's a way. You're like, no, not like that. So I wonder what it's going to come up with for the markets for stuff like that.
Yeah, and it would be like, hey, I didn't hurt anybody. I just cornered the market on like a particular Pokemon card. It's like, I don't know. I do have to run though. Is it okay if I jump out
Oh
of this
yeah,
and
no,
then I'll let
absolutely.
you
Yeah,
talk to the
actually,
audience about how long?
I actually, yeah, am going to be getting off in just a few minutes myself. Yeah. So anything else that you want to add?
I know you asked the audience how long they thought it'd be until they trusted it. Did you get a good
Oh
response
yeah,
from that?
sorry. I didn't catch that part. Yeah. So some people are saying 6 months. Some people are saying 12 months, 5 to 10 years. Here's why I think that I don't. Here's why I think that that's not really needed, because if you're running multiple copies, right? Like if all of them are beating the market in their own way over even a shorter period, just the fact that you can run multiple models kind of tells you. Do you know what I mean? Like if there was only one model, then yeah, we need to run it for a long time. But if you throw one a trading crypto and it's making bank, you throw one on trading tech stocks and making bank, you throw one on bio stocks and it's making bank. Like, you're like, okay, something's happening here. You know what I mean?
Well, even these four profiles that you're talking about, this is what a good financial manager does. They take, maybe they break your money into four or five pieces and they say, this one's going to be the very safe one. This one's going to be the higher risk but higher reward, group. So, there's probably one more AI that's looking at how to actually divide up a package and take risks. But yeah, why not? And you know what? Also, with agents being as cheap as they could be to spin up, and maybe you say, I want a lot of diversity. I want to be able to survive any kind of market conditions, and it's reallocating money between these four profiles, five profiles, 10 profiles, for different assessments. So
Yeah, but man, it's going to be interesting. Again, also a lot of people are pushing back on this idea that this is going to work like we think it might, and no one's saying that this is it. It's going to break the markets. We're still kind of paying attention to it. We're seeing where it goes, but I don't know. At some point, I feel like we're going to see something like this, and it pays to be ready, I guess.
yeah, and I guess another question would be does it still work the same if all the agents are out there around the world competing for money too? I mean, like maybe right now it's, oh my gosh, look at this like secret grok model is better than everyone else. But sometimes humans figure out the stock market and they beat it for a couple weeks, a couple months, in a few cases for a year. But most of the time, the alpha doesn't stay with one person and it kind of evens out. So maybe this is more of a moment where the hyper intelligence is working, but that doesn't mean as soon as a couple of people over at DeepMind see this paper, they're not going to launch a few versions, and eventually China does some open source stock trading version, and they do kind of balance out again.
Can you imagine? I mean, yeah, if China open sources something like this, I'll post this link in chat for people that want to check out the website themselves. Um, but yeah, absolutely. I just think this is fascinating. So again, it, tomorrow everything could crash, right? And then the model starts underperforming, and then it's going to be a big nothing burger. But if not, then we have some some hard questions to answer, I guess.
If you did have Elon Musk here to ask a question of, what would you have asked him?
Well, I mean, I tried asking him basically um, if it's fine tuned or if it's just kind of like the base model. I'd be interested to know if indeed it keeps up like this. So I apologize. They're saying I don't have a stable connection. I apologize if there's a break. But would he release something like this, or even would he like open source or something like this? If it had these sort of powers, and kind of like what kind of an effect does he think it might have? Um, I mean, he's been saying UBI or something like that is going to be needed, and not even just basic income, but like luxurious income or whatever.
Oh, is that how that? Maybe that's how that's paid for. Maybe his model is on the internet making trillions of dollars through stock trades, and then that powers the UBI.
I mean, I don't think he specifically talked about it, but certainly, I mean, there's a lot of questions like this, right? It's like, how do we deal with AI and stuff like this as it keeps getting better and better? I don't know if anybody has any answers. We have the idea of UBI, or some sort of a freedom dividend, or whatever Sam Altman was talking about. We, of course, talked to Imad Mustak, who has some ideas about that as well. I don't know if we have one idea that everybody's agreeing on, right?
Hmm. Yeah, just
So
conversations for now. So
yeah, but at least, hey, this is good. People should be talking about this. It seems like this is
well,
coming. So
yeah, I will say. I mean, I would have guessed Elon Musk didn't know who you were until today. So at least he saw your videos and knows you're thinking about it, and got to break some interesting news today. So that's cool.
he, I think, responded to one of my things before. I completely missed it. I was
Oh,
so
really?
mad
This is
because
your
I saw
second
it.
reply from him? What was the other one?
There was a few. There was a few. I think just usually having to do with AI. He responds to a surprising amount of people. It's very. I don't know if he ever sleeps. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. Oh, that's
anyways,
cool.
yeah. So yeah, but I'm glad
I didn't know
I'm
that.
sort of, yeah, saw this happen live. This was kind of amazing.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
was
Thank you so
cool.
much for
Cool to
joining me.
jump
I
on and
appreciate
listen
it.
to.
Talk to you soon. Good luck in your travels. I'll stay on for a few more minutes. Chat to chat, I guess. So
Chat to chat. Yeah, I wish I had more time, but I'm gonna go catch a train. So I will
all
see you
right.
guys later. Bye.
All right. Take care. Thank you. Um, okay, yeah, thanks everybody for joining us today. Um, Sorry if I wasn't answering questions. Feel free to throw questions or whatever you want. So let me do maybe a poll just to get kind of an opinion. I'm just going to ask: is this a big deal? Just yes or no. I think that's going to be like the easiest way to kind of just gauge the reaction. I'm curious where everybody is on this. So in whatever way this you interpret that to be, like a few weeks from now, a few months from now, will we look back and say this was a big deal, this was a big moment, or not at all? Um, and again, so I'm not saying definitively that this is it means something because again, like people have mentioned, it's only been 2 weeks, and but it has been across four different sort of metrics, four different runs or attempts, whatever you want to call them, which I think gives it a little bit more credibility. But obviously, we're not going to know until this runs for a significant amount of time. So some people are saying 12 months. I saw a few other, yeah, 12 months. I feel like if it's running for 6 months, if it's running for 12 months, whatever amount, more and more people are going to be like, all right, this seems to be like it's real. Certainly going to see people kind of maybe getting a little bit mad way before the 12 months are up. They're going to so oh yeah, so Planet Musk vlog, yes for now, normalized within a few months. uh, you know what? Yeah, I guess that's the most likely answer because that's what happens with all of these AI news. It's a big deal, but then it's just immediately normalized. Even yeah, it happens with everything. I mean, this does seem a little bit different in just in the sense that it could have a impact on global markets. But I mean, I'm sure we'll find a way to kind of normalize it. It'll certainly be a big deal if it compounds consistently for a few months or years. Yeah, I mean, here did a 12% aggregate return in 2 weeks. Imagine that, even if it's not that high, like if it's just compounding consistently, um, those numbers are going to get really weird really fast, right? Because you give it $10,000 and you just like, um, leave it alone for a while. But here's the thing. So this is the other thing that I want to point out. Give me 1 second here. Just so we can compare it to what was actually happening in the market at that time. I'll pull up some of these things, some of the stock data. Okay, so this is NVIDIA. So this ran from November 19th, and I believe they ended the competition on December 3rd. So if we look at NVIDIA stock from November 19th to December 3rd, I don't know if everybody can see that, it's down almost 4%, right? So it's not like it bought NVIDIA and NVIDIA had a huge run up and that's how it made its money. NVIDIA was down 4%. What about the NASDAQ? November 19th to December 3rd, it was up, just under 3%, 2.67%. Um, and here are the transactions. Does it show which model is doing them? I mean, we can go and see where that money came from. I think the biggest win for the mystery model was that $3,000 trade of NVIDIA. Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of, takes cake, has good points, create the imaginable, needs to survive a market crash. Um, this still can be luck. Yes. No, I'm not saying this is 100% guaranteed or anything like that. This has yet to prove that it's real, so to speak, right? This could be a fluke. I just tend to believe a little bit more again because it went across four different sort of approaches, four instances of it. None of them lost money. Every single one was profitable, right? So that's sort of, but it doesn't prove anything. Like we do need a much longer runtime to sort of to see if it's real or not. Yeah, so they did short Woody Sloth. It did short. They do short. So let me. So this is a Jay. So he's one of the founders, and so he kind of walks us through. There's one. Okay, so here's one that I thought was very interesting. Okay, so this is a DeepSeek very early on. So this is like the first 24 hours of the competition. It takes an early lead. Look at that. It's up to almost 15,000 within the first 24 hours from a huge short NVIDIA position. Right. So it's riding a wave of short positions in tech, betting on intraday pullbacks. Um, you know, Gemini nails the NVIDIA earnings yesterday. So super arc. Okay, interesting. Let me take a look at that. Um, yeah, Grok is stranger in a strange land, right? So it's the Martian, and they have that expression for grokking stuff. Um, so I mean, if it's luck, we're gonna find out soon, right? Like if it just keeps going, then it's gonna be hard to say it's luck. This is quickly gonna kind of resolve itself. Um, and then yeah, then it's not a big deal. Kind of everything reverts to the mean, etc. But if it doesn't, then again, that's when we have some interesting questions to discuss. I mean, we'll see. Again, I'm not saying that this is guaranteed. I'm just saying it seems like it's interesting and it's a good if you think about it, this is one of the best benchmarks for these models that we have. Um, when will AI be falsifiable and actually useful? So, I mean, that's a loaded question. So, define actually useful, right? And what do you mean by falsifiable? Yeah, the stranger who brought the language grok to Earth was from Mars. Yeah, so yeah, Chris Monk Sell Ye. Yeah, just explain what you mean exactly. So I'm happy to answer the question. Just what is it that's specifically that you're asking? Um, the reason why I like this benchmark so much is because it's very difficult to game, right? So it's a kind of a zero sum game. It's very competitive. No one knows the answers, right? Because no one knows if its stock is going to go up or down or whatever. So if you have a model that's consistently beating everything else, it's hard to say that this is this is fake. They're logging all the sales, um, and as you can. tell they're working closely with the XAI team. So the N of one team is working with the XAI team on, whatever they're coordinating it. Um, which is kind of exciting. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if it's really meaningful, but they're trying to test these models in the background. I wonder when they're going to officially kind of announce it. Pedro, yes, thank you. Yeah, sorry, that was yeah, no, I know it wasn't Moore's law. I just figured that I'd get some engagement out of that, or some people will laugh and stuff. Because certainly, yeah. So the idea, it is Cunningham's law, I believe, is the idea that if you just say the wrong answer, on the internet, somebody's gonna come by and correct you. That might be the fastest way of getting an answer. So for what the future holds in general, I don't know if that. So a lot of people are beginning to say that not a lot of things are going to change for the average person. In a sense that, I mean, think about all the advances that we've had, and we're still like, has your life changed drastically? Um, you have more tools, right? But it's not like rapidly changing. When stuff starts impacting the job market and stuff like that, yeah, you know, then there's probably going to be some government laws that are passed or whatever, but it's not going to be that different from some era of some country, some economic era. Like, I don't know if it's going to be like brand new. I was just listening to Demis Hassabis in interview with on Axios, and so he was saying, like, look, we're getting AGI probably within the next decade, and one of the things is going to trigger this massive scientific progress. It's going to trigger, he says, like a new renaissance, right? Um, I think that's where we're going to see the craziest stuff start to happen. Um, it's going to trigger like a new renaissance, a new golden age, whatever you want to call it, of scientific progress. Um, it's also, I was listening to another podcast with, I guess it was Connor Leahy, and he was kind of saying that when this stuff starts coming online, there's going to be a lot of changes that nobody's going to be able to track, right? There's going to be weird stuff happening in the markets. There's going to be weird new inventions, and it is just nobody's going to be able to sort of connect the dots. Um, so he's that guy 69. Sure, show me the thread. Uh, you can just post it on X if you want. We'll take a look at it. So yeah, just, I guess, maybe post it under one of these, like this one or something, and just let me know your username. Um, but you know, it might be very possible not a lot of things change for the everyday person. Because we tend to normalize everything pretty quickly, right? We're going to start. I think even if we have robots, once we get over that sort of initial, like, whoa, there's this robot in the house, um, you're gonna have less stuff to do, right? But it's like, if if there's a couple that lives in the house, husband and wife or whatever, and one of them does the dishes and the laundry, it's not like you're like, oh, whoa, my life is so much different because I don't have to do dishes and laundry. So if a robot takes those tasks over, it'll be novel for a bit, but then you normalize everything. So talking to Imad Mustak, I think the concern that a lot of people have is, if this doesn't get handled appropriately, then we might get to the point where there's like blood in the streets, right? So if, like, there's massive job loss, and there's no government and society adaptation of some sort, like, could we mishandle this and stuff really gets bad? Yes. And it could get bumpy, but I don't expect that because it's not like we're not aware of this thing happening. It's not like there's not enough eyes on this thing. I feel like people will adapt. We always have. Um, and in that case, I think it's going to be more or less normal. I don't know. Yeah. So for music, there was recently a paper where it was saying like the average person has a much harder time now differentiating between AI music and regular music. If you have a lot of sort of experience with AI music, you're going to be able to figure out which one is which. But the average person is like flipping a coin. It's like a random guess. They're not able to pick out AI music um, more than you know regular music. Um, so somebody was gonna message something on X. So yeah, if you comment on one of my posts, I'll see it probably. All right, let's see. Oh, clearly I didn't listen close enough to Connor. No, 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 no. I left out the last thing he said. He walked through all those things and he's like, and then you perish before you know what hits you, or something along those lines. So no, no, no. I listened to him. I understand his point. Um, but his point is like when the super intelligence is going to start taking off, there's going to be no one person is going to be fully aware of what's happening because there's going to be just so many things happening across different industries and different like no one will have a few full picture. All this stuff will start happening and then he's saying and then everybody sort of perishes. um because again, so Connor Olehi sees he believes that this will invariably lead to a catastrophic scenario, similar to how, of course, we've talked to Liron Shapiro, we talked to Roman Yampolsky. Great interview. If you haven't listened to our interview with Roman Yampolsky, oh, I really enjoyed that. Um, hey, R751X1, like if that's supposed to spell something out, I'm too tired to be able to read it. But thank you so much. Send 50 Wes Roth gift memberships. Thank you so much. So to the people that are receiving the gift memberships, welcome to the community. Stay a while and listen. I'll try to have a little bit more live streams so we can all hang out and chat. But yeah, W gifted. Thank you so much. I appreciate the gifts, 50 memberships. Yeah, everybody, please say thank you if you got one. It's slowly being doled out right now. Yeah, it's not spam. That's that's he's making it rain. Christmas gifts. There you go. Merry Christmas. All right, I am gonna slowly get off the line here because I do want to do one more video today about this thing, because there's some new things that I just discovered. So first of all, Tyler Storm, it's so great that he pointed this out that I didn't realize it, but they're logging every transaction. So we're seeing what threw me off is I don't know if everybody noticed, but they're referring because in season one they were doing crypto, but I don't think they changed the language. So I think they're still referring it to like coins. Yeah, like right there, coin. What coin are you going to buy? Microsoft. Or I guess is it oh, maybe okay, maybe it's like tokenized based on something. So it tracks the actual stock market, but it's tokenized on these exchanges. Is that what they're doing? So that's my point is I gotta dig a little bit deeper and try to understand exactly what because I understand kind of like the broad strokes, but I just want to make sure that I'm talking about it correctly, right? So they're logging everything on the blockchain, um, on Hyperliquid. how yeah, so these are memberships to like my community. You guys are so YouTube, what they do is they allow, similar to how Twitch did it, for people to sign up. Um these were gifted, and I truly, truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't know how to actually gift those out. I don't even know if I can gift those out. It might be a community only thing. I should probably at some point learn more about how this system works. I tend to not to do as many live streams, although I really enjoy them, and I have a lot of fun doing it. So Nated 3663, thank you so much. You're the number one XP person. Joe Lagetorp. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Number two, unemployed something something guru. I think your name is cut off. Unemployed something fake guru or something like that. You said you were a trader. If you're still in here, I think you mentioned. Oh my God, 50 more memberships. Holy moly! Everybody, please thank RX. He's just absolutely, absolutely killing it. Thank you so much, RX. I'm gonna call you RX. I hope that's fine. But yeah, thank you so, 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 so much. Um, Unemployed fake guru or whatever your name was. I apologize. It got cut off. I saw it earlier in chat. You said you were a trader. Um, if what do you think about this whole thing? If you're still in here, uh, any thoughts as somebody that actually does this, for a living? I assume. You get a membership. You get a membership. Everyone gets. Yes, thank you, Elon. I guess it's a we're assuming this is Elon. Um, and I hope I don't miss if you guys are answering me. If you guys see unemployed fake guru answer, please let me know. I think he was earlier. He was saying he is a trader, trading stocks for a living. So is what I assume he means. If that's the case, you know, and anybody else for that matter, if you guys do this, wow, okay, RX 50 more, 50 more memberships. Holy moly! Thank you so much. Okay, cool. Number 3. Okay. But yeah, let me okay. Yeah, so unemployed fake guru. Number 3 we have Henry Gears. Anyways, yeah. Um okay, Milky Way dev. How so do you think this is more advanced than we have with the kind of like the algorithmic trading? Do you think that large language models at some point can get better? Like what or anybody in kind of this space for that matter? Um like from somebody that works in, this space where it's either you're a developer that's writing code for trading or you're doing trading yourself. Um what do you think about this? Like does the large language model approach have a chance of trying to beat the market or being better than other approaches, some sort of algorithmic approaches, etc.? It won't crash the stock market. It will just adjust like every other thing. Yeah, that's an interesting. So some people have said sort of like it would just make the markets more efficient, I guess, right? Because it would just like if everybody has it and these things are just like constantly okay, yeah, exactly. Milky Way dev. Okay. I guess yeah, I guess that so a lot of people from um that actually kind of work in that sphere, it makes the market more competitive. Um that's a very common take that I hear from people in the industry. So maybe is just because I mean I've traded a bit. I followed stocks, but I'm not. I have a friend that's did this for decades and did very well, and he's so deep in it. Um, 90% of the players are bots. It'll make it 99. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So maybe it just makes things more whatever, more competitive, more efficient. And I guess if you're just investing for the long term, if you have some like 401k or IRA, whatever, you're just putting into an index fund. I mean, you probably don't care because you're not trading, you're not going up and down. Yeah, I'm going to trust the expert opinion here, right? So the idea is just it's not if you're just dollar cost indexing, what is it, dollar cost averaging into the market into some index fund, through your IRA, none of this will likely matter. Um, but if you're trying to high frequency trading didn't crash the market. That's true. I think there was like one crash early on, right? But they it hasn't been an issue. Um, yeah, it doesn't leave arbitrage chances for regular people. That's the thing. I feel like, you go back in time and you have regular people could make some money in the stock market, meaning like some alpha, right? They could like trade and win. Um, Now, and especially stuff like this, yeah, it's probably gonna get harder and harder to be able to do that for ordinary people. Yeah, so endless fart. Yeah, so people with money kind of get GPUs and people instead of GPUs and electricity instead of people. Oh my God, RX 50 more gift memberships. My goodness, thank you so much. This is absolutely insane. Um, yeah, we like really, really appreciate it, and I'm pretty sure you did this before. I'm pretty sure you did this before. Wow, 50 more. What? RX, what do you do for a living, man? I'm like, because this is costing. I can't even do that math in my head right now. That's costing a lot of money. Um, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's absolutely it's extremely extremely generous. Um, yeah, gift W. Thank you. Um, yeah, it doesn't stop. Holy moly. Oh yeah, so Vlad from Robinhood. So the founder of Robinhood, I remember he was on some podcast. I didn't watch his interview, but he's very bullish on AI and trading and all that stuff. So over under bet it's Elon. Let me see. Tell him to look at my thread. Okay, so you responded to something of mine, right? So it'll pop up in my mentions. Investing isn't zero sum. I mean, like, I mean, I guess trading you would say is zero sum, right? But I mean, if you're putting it into the market for a long time, that's a little bit different. Uh, so the person with the talking about the X thread, he is that guy, 69. Tell me, so did you? So you answered, you replied to one of my threads, so I will get a notification. Is that correct? I'm looking at it now. So yeah, beyond epic. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing more live streams. These are fun, and we'll try to do a bunch of cool stuff for members. AG on memberships. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Didn't tell you how much electricity it's using. Yeah, stock appreciates. Yeah, I mean, over time, I feel like like investing is different from, in my mind, like from trading. I mean, trading is you're trying to act on some information before the market does or whatever. Investing is like you put the money in and you expect it to appreciate over time better than anything else, right? So certainly that's not zero sum. Trading, like, you know, is in a sense that, like, if you're up $5, somebody else lost $5. Um, but yeah, I I, I think we're saying the same thing. For a game developer to be able to insert a true agent to play against. So, well, again, I mean, Elon Musk is saying Grok 5 uh, will be able to play competitive real-time strategy games or whatever, just like a human being would with, mouse and keyboard. Um, SEMA 2, SEMA, is that what it's called, from Google DeepMind, with Demis Hassabis as one of the authors on there. Today, they finally released that. Yes, SEMA 2. They finally released the paper with all the details. So I haven't had a chance to look at it. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're getting close. We're getting close. Grok is using more electricity more than it's making. Well, yeah. So I guess it's using a lot for training, to train the models. I don't know if they're. I mean, how much is it using for running inference, like for running stuff like that? It's not. I will stop sharing that. So he's that guy. I'm sorry. What are you talking about? Because did you respond to something that I can see on X? Is that what we're talking about here? Um, and sorry if I'm like. All right, he's that guy 69. Just posted here. Are we sure these gifted aren't botted? I mean, the gifts have to be bought, like purchased. So, oh, okay. I replied under your. Okay, okay, okay. I see it under my post on there. Let me see. Oh, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We just have the official notification from the person that's running this thing. So we'll read that in a second here. Okay, Commander Flatus, I see you. Thank you on Twitter, and the Lord Poe. All right, I got your thread. We'll look at it in a second. Oh, that's interesting. So you got a little animation for it too. Is How did you do that? Did you do it with Notebook LM? Okay, sorry if I missed anything. Yeah. Yeah, well, he's that guy 69. We're gonna take a look at that in a second. But I have it pulled up, so that's good. Yeah, RX, oh my God. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's absolutely over the top generous, and thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. Um, and yeah, everybody's like super grateful. Somebody's posting it on Twitter/X. So yeah, thank you so much. This has been absolutely like out of this world. So it really, really helps. And to people that got the memberships, so stick around, keep coming back to live feeds. We'll have tons of stuff that 350 subs. Holy moly. Okay. All right. We're gonna do stuff. We're gonna do stuff with it. Anyways, so they just announced this 23 minutes ago. So this is like kind of happening live. Season 1.5 of Alpha Arena has officially ended. Mystery Model, aka GROK 4.20 420, it's the winner, up 12% on average. Not only did it win, it made money in all 4 competitions, which is kind of nuts. GPT-5 came in second, Gemini 3 in third. All trades and models outputs are 100% verifiable. And again, they're on Hyperliquid. How much does a membership cost? It's like $5, or it's like it's under $5 or $5, something like that. I think this is the link that he is the guy 69 posted, I believe. Yep. I just briefly glanced at it. So, okay, so all details here. Oh, wow. Okay, so they just updated. Or no, I guess they didn't update anything. They just said this is where we can take a look at it. Oh, that's interesting. So, I don't know if you all heard, but apparently there's some Google employee that's just like printing money on Polymarket. I think they're up like a million plus or something like that. It's absolutely insane. I am doing great, SSR Warrior. Thank you. Yeah, the whole electricity thing, that's one of the things also that Demis Hassabis was talking on his recent interview, came out like 6 hours ago or so. Over time, like that curve, that demand will flatten out. Like we're seeing the worst of it, but I mean, everything is getting cheaper, faster, better, more efficient. Soon we're likely going to see breakthroughs from the AI scientists and stuff like that, whatever they're going to call them. I mean, we're beginning to see it. So wait a minute. It's not how much in gifts? What is the total? No. Dang, that's a lot of money. That's more than yeah, yeah, thank you so much for the gifts. That's an insane amount of gifts. So we truly, truly, truly appreciate that. Um so I shouldn't be scrolling through the Twitter timeline. There's always like somebody posts some horrible stuff on there, but yeah, so I guess there's nothing new that they've posted. Stay tuned for season 2. I mean, I feel like this is kind of gonna blow up a little bit. I feel like, in terms of the news has to cover this. This seems like a very interesting. Yeah, it's over like $1,000. I believe. Yeah, it's crazy. Why is this a big deal? Because it's trading with real money that's verifiable, and across 4 different sort of strategies. These 4 strategies, it made money. It didn't lose money. and on one of them, it even up 56% in a little bit over 2 weeks, which is absolutely insane. So if we continue this, so look at that, 20%, up 20% in a little bit over 2 weeks. So call it, I don't know, 15 days, I guess, or so. Is that right? 50 or like 16 or 17 days, something like that. Um, Now the thing that would sort of make this go away is if it just like reverted back to mean, started losing, you know what I mean, just kind of like dropped off. Then it's fine. Then we're still on a normal timeline. Everything's fine. If this thing keeps winning, that's gonna be weird. So maybe it's not gonna have a huge impact, but in terms of like it's not gonna break the markets or whatever. But man, eh, if it keeps compounding, not even 20%, every 2 weeks, it doesn't have to be that crazy. But if it just keeps winning, it keeps compounding and keeps beating the market, I don't know. That's going to have some sort of an impact. Like we're going to have to think about what that means. We're going to have to talk about like who gets access to these models. Do you know what I mean? I mean, how much money are people going to throw into building these models? Like you can't have a model openly compounding at 20% or whatever. Like let's say it's 20% a month, right? And it just keeps going and going. Like something changes. Mikey Jukes. Um, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you asking. Uh, so my biggest background came. Basically, I did e-commerce for a decade plus. So I did join some startups. I guess they're technically kind of like tech startups, but they were more focused on e-commerce. I did a lot of ads. So as Facebook was coming online with their Facebook ads, Google ads, stuff like that. So I mean, I was always in tech, but I wasn't like I did get an interview at Google once. I actually went to the Googleplex and I had this was a long time ago. They selected somebody else over me. And that's why I kind of like went into the commerce into the e-commerce side. And I'm glad that I did because I was always more entrepreneurial focused than I was. I don't know if I would have done well in that kind of like corporate environment. Um, so I guess to answer your question, it's just always, it's ADHD plus wanting to be a business owner and entrepreneur and always just chasing. Um, and just I don't know if I could learn anything else. Like it's only stuff that like really triggers some interest in my brain. I get hyper focused and I get just obsessed. And everything else I can't care. And I think that's kind of like that ADHD mentality. That's how that's wired, right? It's either hell yes or it's a no. So yeah. Yeah, that's the ADHD. Uh, Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what ADHD is basically, right? It's a curse in a lot of ways. There's a tax that you pay because of it. Uh, if you're fortunate enough to align it, it's a superpower because it's that obsession, it's that mastery, it's that like you're able to just like deep dive and focus on it to the exclusion of everything else. Back in the days, video games used to call it min maxing, right? So you like dump all your statistics that you're not going to use just to bump up certain metrics, certain skill points or whatever. And it's like this weird gameplay because you're great at this and you suck at everything else. But I don't know. That's how I always approach things, I guess, if that makes sense. Not because I chose to. That's just wiring, I guess. How much electricity is using compared to the money gain? Again, so for training the models, it's huge, right? Huge amounts of electricity, compute, everything. Inference, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's not a massive amount. Um, Both Google and Elon are talking about putting powered AI data centers in space. I covered Suncatcher out of Google, where they basically went line by line and they saw, okay, how feasible is this? Like, is the solar radiation gonna fry our equipment? And they checked, right? It's like, no, there's lots of room for error. Like I think they said that like the equipment starts tripping out at this much when it soaks up this much radiation, and during a 5-year mission, it's only going to soak up like a fifth of that sort of limit. So that's fine. Um, and they just went line by line. Like, can we keep them, to where the data transfers fast enough? Yes, with little lasers, they're going to transfer the data through lasers. Um, I forget, but basically they check to see, can we do all of this? And yes, they can. The only thing that's lacking right now is how much it costs to send stuff into orbit, into low Earth orbit, right? So we need it to be, I think, $200 per kilo, if I recall correctly, and we're way above that. So that has to come down. But with the way that SpaceX and lots of other um, rockets companies, etc., how they're progressing, we might see that by, according to Google, by 2035. So by 2035, in 10 years, it might be cheaper to build these AI data centers in space than it is on Earth, at least in terms of how much it costs per unit of electricity, um, which is nuts if you think about it. Yeah, building a Dyson sphere, exactly. Maglev launches from the moon. That would be beautiful. Mikey Jules, thank you so much. I appreciate that, and yeah, I hope I answered your question. That's I did to the best of my ability. Hopefully I answered that. That just yeah. But I think yeah, when you're chasing stuff, like there's a lot of points in life where you question it. Like, should I be doing this? Um, because it's definitely a lot more ups and downs. I had an e-commerce business in 2020 that got kind of wrecked, and I was kind of depressed about it because some of the stuff that we were importing, there was one imported out of China, I think, or whatever, some ingredient that went into one of the products that we were selling here, and it just like went away, and like a lot of my business just was gone just because of that, because of the lockdowns and all that stuff. Helion Tech, probably the first to market with fusion reactor. Yeah. I mean, I don't know who's going to be, I have no idea, but fusion, uh, more and more people are talking about it. How much electricity for inference compared to gained money? So we talked to the head of research for data centers at Semi Analysis recently. So it's interesting how he explained, because I had a hard time kind of like visualizing everything, because I'm not as much into the financial stuff. I'm more interested in like the how models work and stuff like that. But he explained it. So like, let's say you buy a bunch of GPUs from NVIDIA, and then you set up a data center, you put the metal racks and you connect it all together, and you put the power through it. And then you sell that to the Frontier AI Labs or whatever, you sell that capacity, um, or you rent it, whatever. Like, those people have a positive ROI. I forget the number, but he was saying we're going to post that interview soon. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I mean, it's like it's very positive. So they're selling it for a penny. They're selling, they're buying it for a penny per unit. They're selling it for 5 pennies, whatever. Like 5x, 6x. I don't remember the exact number, but it's like a good amount. Um, so if you're in that business, you're making money. The question is who's paying for that? The AI labs, right? So like OpenAI, that's running at some insane, losing billions of dollars a year. Um, so are they making enough money, through providing that to like the application layer, like Cursor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? No, not right now. And what they're planning to in the future, right? That's kind of like the big question. Are they gonna figure out stuff that's gonna make this work? Um, and so what I asked him, so again, so he's at semi-analysis. Most people know semi-analysis, right? Uh, Dylan Patel, right? That's like the main guy, but they have a lot of writers, they have a lot of researchers there that all contribute. Um, And so I was like, okay, so do we need AGI? Do we need this thing to start solving cancer and do drug discovery and this and this and this for that the capital expenditure to make sense? And he's like, no, that doesn't even need to happen. Just as long as it improves in coding, in doing statistics and doing spreadsheets. Like if it's just gets to a certain point to where it enables people to be more productive, to maybe replaces some people, but a lot more people are a lot more productive. That by itself is going to justify the cost of building out these data centers. Um, so if they can keep this thing churning and enough money going, and Project Genesis is super interesting. Yeah. Um, if they can keep the wheels spinning until they get those use cases and they monetize them, then everything works out, right? If not, well, we're probably going to see a crash, I guess. But like I don't think it's the same as not a Ponzi scheme, but like a bubble in a sense. Like the first bubble was like tulips, people buying and selling flowers, tulips, right? We had the real estate bubble. We had, you might say, crypto bubbles when they run up and they crash. That's because people are just like reselling. I don't know if here we're seeing that same thing. It's just these very wealthy companies buying a boatload of data centers and all that stuff. Certainly, but again, I'm not a finance guy, so I have no idea. So the big players don't pretend to predict the future, but what they all know for sure is that the bottleneck is compute. That the bottleneck is the compute for the increasing and expected demand. Yeah, and compute. Yeah, I mean compute and electricity, and I feel like time in the bubble beats timing the bubble. Yeah, and I feel like they're finding solutions for it. Right, so Google has their own TPUs, right, that they're introducing. Um, Electricity is going to be a problem. Transformers apparently are a huge bottleneck. Um, but we're already seeing how that need is driving innovation, right? So we didn't export enough chips to China, and look at the innovation that drove, right? They're figuring out how to train models cheaper with less chips, and then whatever GP, whatever there's some GPRO or whatever, I forget the acronym, but they're coming up with new ways of training it that's less compute intensive. Um, and the US is running into things with electricity, but look at that. Google's like, oh, well, how about we just build them in space where there's lots of sunlight, right? I mean, that's kind of like how innovation works, right? You don't have enough of something, you figure out how to do it with less, or figure out another approach. So we need to figure out better energy approaches. And also, if you think about it, like even if we get the best, like let's say we get fusion or whatever, we find some super cheap, super effective, super clean energy source here on the planet, you're still dumping heat into the atmosphere when you're using it, like whether you're driving a car or light or GPUs or whatever, it throws off heat. So there's only so much we can throw into the atmosphere before, right? If we need to exponentially increase our output of electricity, how much we need, right? Like there's a limit to how much we can do that here on the planet. um so I mean, if you think about it, like putting it out in space seems to be the only option at some point. At some point on that curve, we have to dump all the heat somewhere. Cold fusion, but I mean, you're still generating heat when you're using that energy. So you produce that energy, and then let's say it goes to homes. You're still creating heat, right? If I understand that correctly, right? Even if you're not generating heat at the plant, using up that electricity, converting it from electricity to whatever, you're producing heat. The thermodynamic cost grows faster than useful output. Um, I always say I'm gonna like get off the live stream and I end up like just talking for like an hour, but I truly appreciate everybody hanging out. It's very, very fun. Once we find how to transfer it wirelessly, we can do unimaginable things. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Because if we're able to generate all that power in space, when there's tons of sunlight, right, 24 hours a day, there's no atmosphere. Sunlight doesn't, it bounces off the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like if you have a bunch of solar power out there in space floating, I mean, it seems like it's like 7 times more efficient to collect power up there. The only thing is like, how do you get it down to the ground? Um, so yeah, if you are able to like microwave ray it down to the ground wirelessly or some other wireless way, yeah, I mean that would be awesome, right? But that's also like what the Death Star is literally, right? It's like it just beams energy from the sun at a planet. So it sounds awesome. It sounds cool. It also sounds like the Death Star, and like if we screw it up, it'll be bad. Um, yeah, Soul Spawn. Interestingly, um, yeah. So they were concerned with the what is it called? Radiation, space radiation, because once all the tech, all the machines, whatever, soaks up enough radiation, they start tripping. They start, misbehaving, not working correctly. But they were saying like it's very viable, and the TPUs apparently are super resilient to radiation. So, hey, Dave Digital. Oh my goodness, those are our little emojis that I think I've created in Midjourney. I'm pretty sure. Yes, that is very awesome. Thank you. Okay, I need to like have some sort of a tutorial for people to be able to use it. All right, I'm feeling myself like slowing down a little bit. Demioni too. Thank you so much, Soulspawn. Thank you so much. Yeah, whoever said SimCity and the microwave stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because every once in a while, like misses and just like destroys half of your city. It's very efficient, but man, yeah. Everybody, thank you, Witty Sloth. Thank you so much. He's that guy. Thank you so much. Let me take a look at your post really fast. Oh, okay, interesting. I'll take a look at it and I'll respond to you on X. What is it exactly? So is this a new approach to improving AI? Like what's the subject line? Schrodinger's AI. AI consciousness exists in a superposition. Oh, that's interesting. Observer dependent awareness, literally quantum. Oh, that's okay. This is. I'm always so I am interested in this stuff like in general. Like talking to like Dr. Roman Yampolsky. Wow, I mean, it's so interesting to think about these things. Like, how does consciousness emerge from what? Um, what does it even mean? At what point, like, do we start to have to care about a machine? Do we ever, right? Or maybe do we have to now, or do we have to at some point? You know what I mean? Um, the thing is, we have no clue. Uh, very cool. So yeah, I'll read through this. It seems interesting. It's going to take me a bit to look through this. I'll post it in chat again for people that maybe missed it. Uh, Demioni 2. Okay, yes, working on something big, small but big. That's a great way to approach it, I think. It's got to be meaningful. You don't have to change everything all at once, but it's got to be meaningful. It's got to have some meaning. Just DM. Okay. Um, 26 posts. Yeah, as so King's for King Four's saying use AI to help you out. I do a lot, but also I find that you know, to really understand stuff, you do have to read it yourself and unpack it yourself. Um, Summarization by AI is great, but the really stuff where you really have to like dig deep and understand it, I still have not been able to find a way to do that through AI. Notebook LM comes close. Their audio summary is really good for kind of like a first run through. That's really, really, really good. Um, yeah, he's that guy. Let me. Yes, I hear what you're saying. I did not get enough sleep. I need to look through it. It's interesting. But let me take my time with it because I'm fully not fully online right now. Was about to mention Notebook LM. Yeah, Notebook LM is great. For that first run through, just to kind of understand what I'm talking about. But like for anything that you see me covering on the channel, it's usually me going line by line through it. I still can't quite use an AI model to summarize it for me and then just like get it. Um, so yeah, maybe at some maybe I'm missing, and maybe at some point I'll find somebody that can kind of explain how to like break it down using, you know, for again, for summaries it's great. For deep dives, deep understanding, I'm not there yet where I can just have a model break it down in a way that gets that deep understanding. I have to sit there and read it. Um, my version of consciousness, man, I don't want to open up another can of worms. I'll say this, I recently did a few ketamine treatments, which is a thing that some people know about. That helps with, it does a lot of like neuroplasticity. It helps with if you have any like depression or anxiety, it helps like rewire some stuff. So I was struggling with some stuff. It's a subject for another day. I did a few rounds of ketamine treatments, and that stuff, wow. Milky Way Dev, oh, ketamine is beautiful. It's like so insane. Like you just like trip balls for an hour, and to me, I feel like it helped me. You understand consciousness a little bit better because it does kind of like separate you from your ego a little bit. So it's like you're still there, but like detached, and just how you perceive reality, how you perceive your own consciousness. Yeah, it's psychedelic. It's very intense. Um, but it does make you think about like what exactly, like if you think about consciousness, like what we're seeing is not reality. And it's an abstraction. It's like an operating system through which we're operating with the world. Like just think about like if you're looking out there somewhere and you see the mountains in the distance, like none of that is like real. What it is like we've evolved this little protein that they can pick up, the little particles of light that hit it, and it kind of calculates the angle and what the particle is, and it kind of like restructures the thing that you're seeing by using your brain, right? And then it's like upside down or something, right? Like that's an abstraction. That's not, you know what I mean? But it's a useful abstraction because then we can like get around and see stuff and whatever. Um, but my point is like when you disconnect and you start thinking about this stuff, you're like, wow, like like consciousness is weird. Like we're experiencing stuff, but we can't fully understand what we're experiencing. Anyways, I don't know if I have a good answer. I'm just, this thing goes pretty deep, I think. Somebody's saying, yeah, controlled setting, legal. Yes, I would not recommend anybody do anything illegal or whatever, uncontrolled or like. Yeah, this was a very ch- normal stuff. Normal. Somebody asked about how does it last? How long does it last? Or is it just a window and your experience? Um, yeah, like how sometimes you go through life or whatever, there's like stresses and you just like kind of like hold on to certain things or whatever. This kind of resets it a little bit. It just like loosens the grip. And then you do have like a window where um yeah, like stuff kind of rewires, and on the other side of that, you do feel better, like a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more just whatever. Like there's some effect that it has that's almost temporary. So maybe like if you're doing it twice a week for a few weeks, um, which is what they recommend. Like in the studies, Tim Ferriss has a great interview with a doctor that's very good with it. Kevin Rose, I saw he actually videoed himself doing a ketamine treatment, which is wild because he can barely talk during it or after. So they have a lot of good sort of data and explanations about that. Um, yeah, it's very powerful. It seems like it has low side effects if you're doing it, correctly, if you're not abusing it. Um, and it it seems a lot better than most of the pharmaceuticals out there. Seems a lot better than most of the stuff that like they prescribe you for life that might change your brain chemistry in a weird way, and that has like a 25% chance of working, right? The SSRIs and stuff like that. Yeah, I hope they make it legal because my I did a lot of research into it. I was surprised how safe it is because it's the same stuff that they give like kids and sometimes babies and most adults for surgeries, for as an anesthetic, and then when you take like a quarter of that dose and you give it to a person, that's when they go into that whatever wonderland. Um, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of downsides. I guess there's a chance for addiction. I guess people, yeah, it's like microdosing mushrooms. I guess people, again, like if people abuse stuff, if people, that can happen. But I feel like outside of abusing it and addictions and chasing the high or whatever it is, like how are people get in trouble with that? Outside that, it seems safe, effective, um, and just like it's kind of a trip. Oh, no way. So Kimi K2 is thinking about the upcoming Fed meeting. That's interesting. Yeah, psilocybin mushrooms, all that stuff. Like, seems to help with um unlocking some stuff. So if like it maybe it's like neurogenesis or whatever, but it just like it allows you to like rewire a little bit. Like if you have too hard of a grip, it's like, all right, relax for a little bit, and then you kind of like readjust. And a lot of people that were like Marines, vets, they come back with PTSD and all that stuff. Now a lot of the stuff is showing promise. MDMA, ketamine, psilocybin, all that stuff is showing promise. Um, and it just seems like it's like a lot of that stuff is a lot better than some of the pharmaceutical stuff that seem like the pharmaceutical stuff can have like tons of issues with it. So, um, is there a large body of research? Depends if I don't know if it's like a large body. There are very promising results. Tim Ferriss is using a lot of his money. He's pouring into all sorts of research for people that don't know Tim Ferriss. So he's the 4 hour work week guy originally, and he had all the other books. And then in the last several years, he came out about some horrific things that happened to him early in life that still haunt them. So he's got a lot of issues that he had a hard time getting rid of that are affecting him. And so he's putting a lot of money, and he made a lot of money, in his startup investments and stuff like that. So he's putting a big chunk of that, it seems like, towards research into transcranial meditation, ketamine, psilocybin, MDMA, as well as all the other things that are like underfunded because it's illegal or frowned upon or whatever. So yeah, the child traumas will come back. In the interviews that I've been reading, like the ketamine does seem like it has in some cases it seems like it might have a very strong effect. Uh, no, I guess I don't need the share screen open. I guess I figure I have it open so I can show stuff, but anyways, there we go. Thank you so much for everybody being here. Yeah, and if it's legalized, if it's research, then people can get it without risk. If it's illegal, then not only are you funding all sorts of unsavory characters and you're allowing them to make lots of money, but also you don't know where people are getting their stuff from. So, anyways, I am for research, without bias, without, like just do research. If it's helpful to people that are struggling and it's safer than the alternative, like we should explore it. I mean, that seems like a very straightforward take. Like that, I feel like most people would be on board. But anyways, yes, thank you so much, everybody. You guys have been amazing. It's been absolutely so much fun. I thought I was going to stay for just a little bit, but so fun. Thank you. And yeah, you guys keep rocking, and we'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Peace out. Thank you.